The football season for the West Bloomfield Lakers has been off to an electrifying start. But last Friday, their winning streak came to a screeching halt with a 34-33 loss against Oxford. An incredibly close game where the momentum shifted several different times. It puts West Bloomfield in a very tricky spot heading into their matchup this week against Clarkston. Joining me now on the Splash Live to break it all down is West Bloomfield football color commentator Matt Catoni. Matt, thank you so much for joining us.
Yep, thank you for having me.
Of course. Now, I'm not Tyler Kieft. I was not sitting next to you in the booth during that game, but I was behind the scenes watching alongside you guys. And my goodness, this was definitely a game to remember. Let's start with your overall reaction. How would you sum up West Bloomfield's performance in this narrow loss to Oxford?
Yeah, really the best way to sum it up is just mistakes lost them the game. They were the only team to really struggle with turnovers in this game, and it ultimately shined through in the end with that fumble in the fourth quarter ultimately being the difference.
You're absolutely right. And, of course, there were some mistakes on defense as well. West Bloomfield came into this game with one of the toughest defenses in the area, allowing barely over 10 points per game. What do you think broke down defensively against Oxford?
Well, I think this is almost kind of a rare case because Oxford has one of the best quarterbacks in the OA Red in Jack Hendricks. But, again, mistakes, critical lapses in coverage, and just ultimately not being able to bring Jack Hendricks down in the backfield and allowing him to extend plays allowed for Oxford to develop some things on offense that other teams haven't really been able to do against West Bloomfield this year.
You're absolutely right. Oxford had West Bloomfield's number that night, and they answered back very effectively. And at the start of this game, the Lakers had their backs against the wall, down 14-0, then came back to score 26 unanswered points. From your vantage point in the booth, were there any early signs or moments that hinted that this might turn into a high-scoring or a back-and-forth game?
Well, really, the only thing Oxford was able to do, they had some big plays in the first half, but the Lakers were able to kind of bottle it up in the second and third quarter. But again, once that third quarter hit, as you mentioned, the Lakers were up 26-14 at the end of the third. They end up giving up 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and that's ultimately what loses them this game, is just kind of not maintaining that level of discipline and attention that they were able to have in the second and third quarter.
You're absolutely right. And Oxford seemed to make big plays when it counted, with senior quarterback Jack Hendricks finding a way to get several different skill players the football. What impressed you the most about their ability to capitalize on key moments, and how did West Bloomfield struggle to respond?
Really, all this year so far, West Bloomfield has really responded incredibly well to adversity. They weren't really able to do that in the fourth quarter. You kind of saw that trickle-down effect. They gave up that first touchdown to make it 33-21. And from then on, you were able to just see Oxford continue to just build up momentum and eventually get that last touchdown to rip away that win from the Lakers.
Did you notice any adjustments that West Bloomfield made during the game, either offensively or defensively, that either helped or hindered their momentum?
They kind of seemed to lean on Jamal Shakespeare a little bit more this game. We saw them, in the fourth quarter start to get him the ball, and just an almost out of character turnover for him is what allowed Oxford to get into the position to win this game.
That's right. And it was a 1-point game. Was there a single play or series you feel truly defined the outcome? Maybe a missed opportunity or a turning point that really shifted the direction?
Yeah, aside from that fumble, there was another series of downs where they're able to pick up a fourth and, I believe it was inches even, maybe just at most 1 yard. But they get a penalty, a face mask, sets them back 15 yards. Then they get another, I believe it was a false start, sets them back another 5 yards. That was an incredibly important series in that game because it allowed Oxford to, go from, being on the ropes, having the Lakers having the ball in Oxford territory, to Oxford getting the football back and ultimately starting that comeback.
That's right, and it showed that West Bloomfield is not invincible. It showed that they do have some weaknesses that they do need to figure out, especially in the weeks to come. For those just joining us right now on the Splash Live, I'm talking with West Bloomfield football color commentator Matt Catoni, breaking down West Bloomfield's recent loss against Oxford during their recent football game on Friday. Now, Matt, Oxford's ability to match West Bloomfield drive for drive was very impressive all throughout the game. How would you compare the physicality and execution from both teams in this matchup?
Yeah, really, it was very reminiscent to some of the Lakers matchups with Rochester Adams. The Oxford head coach heading over from Adams, and you kind of see that level of discipline and that similar culture coming over to Oxford. And that's really what I think kind of caught the Lakers off guard. They knew Oxford was kind of reeling, two big losses to Rochester Adams and then Clarkston. They almost lose and blow the game to Lake Orion last week. I think this is almost kind of a case of the Lakers were looking to next week against Clarkston for the division.
Possibly. I mean, maybe putting all their eggs in that basket and already looking ahead. Maybe they dropped the ball, not literally, or maybe literally, against this game this week, and that kind of resulted in the outcome that we saw. Now, Matt, as someone who's seen a lot of these players this season, how do you think this kind of loss affects West Bloomfield's trajectory and mindset going forward?
Yeah, really based on this year and how they responded to how last season ended. I think this is kind of, they took their medicine. They were looking forward to that game next week, OA Red title game pretty much. And I think this is going to be the game that kind of makes them realize, oh, we're not invincible. There are some things that we have to work on. We have to eliminate these penalties on third downs, not necessarily, gaps in talent or mistakes executing, but more so, cleaning up a few mental errors that really cost them this game and can prevent them from losing games going forward.
Well, let's hope that they clean up these messes very, very quickly, because they are preparing to face a top 5 team in the state of Clarkston this Friday. Could the tough loss make the Lakers more likely to perform well against the Wolves?
Yeah, I think they really have a bad taste in their mouth after this loss. They really shouldn't have lost that game. That's really the best way of putting it. They lost that game as opposed to Oxford really winning it from them, that their mistakes allowed Oxford to take that game from them. And now, again, like I said, they had to take their medicine to some extent. And I think coming out this week, we're going to see a really disciplined and detailed Lakers team, knowing that they have to play, as you mentioned, a top 5 team in the state.
I do want to bring in one quick note. If West Bloomfield wins this game against Clarkston this week, they will share the OAA Red Division title with Clarkston, as OAA does not have tiebreakers. If Clarkston wins, they will win the Red outright. Now, Matt, there is one silver lining, is that last week being a loss sets up this week's homecoming game versus Clarkston, and it's going to be a very, very exciting game no matter what. If people have not been tuning in, why is this the week to watch the game?
Yeah, really, the Swamp has been electric all year, and I think that this is going to be a game where you really make more note of its impact. Playing a team like Clarkston with a quarterback like Alec Wajenko, you're going to really see how the Lakers' home environment impacts not just the game itself, but how it almost invigorates the team and adds more energy to the Lakers' defense.
Can't wait to see what's to come with this next football match. Matt, I got one more question before we wrap things up. What should fans take away from this game about West Bloomfield's strengths and areas that they'll need to shore up heading into their next matchups?
Well, I think the biggest strength for this Lakers team is that their offense is almost like a hydra. They have so many weapons and so many people to get the ball from that if you key in too much on one player, they're going to burn you with another. And again, the one thing that they really need to work on is those mental lapses where you see holdings, false starts, and those penalties that either extend drives for opposing teams or push them behind the sticks.
I love that analogy, a hydra. They've got plan A, plan B, plan C, all the way maybe even through a different set of alphabet, maybe even through the Greek alphabet, who knows. But we'll have to see what's to come on Friday. Can't wait to see you back in the booth with Tyler. Matt, thank you so much for joining us today here on The Splash.
Thank you for having me.